we talked about how hypnosis is used and what it's good for. Basel University in Switzerland just completed a study, well, not just, 2005, and they had volunteers come up to see how well hypnosis would work for allergies. And they found the people that had the hypnosis done had fewer allergy symptoms. And it was a pretty significant effect. So we're talking about real results, real science. They got rid of runny noses. They believe it's because hypnosis allows the body to control the blood flow. Now, do you need to know exactly how it works to make it work for you? I kind of doubt that. Most of us drive a car with no idea how the internal combustion engine works. As long as we know how to drive and get there, it's important. Inductions, we talk about again, pre-talk, set up an expectation, be specific. The more specific you are about what they're going to feel and accomplish, the more they know what to expect, the more likely they are to achieve that expectation. So intent, expectancy, situation, and any attributes you give result in hypnosis. Progressive relaxation is one of the types we talked about. It does require depth testing, because the only way I'll know how deep you are is actually to check, and that's time consuming. So not only is progressive relaxation slow, it requires a lot of testing, which most people don't care for. Analytical people, people who are very numbers oriented or questionable, don't like progressive relaxation. It's too slow, it takes too long, they get bored, they want to move on to something else. It can turn into sleep, and this is a problem. If you are asleep, you're not hypnotized. You're asleep. So you're really not too much to do. And the one that's most important to me is it fatigues the hypnotist, because if I have to spend 2 hours to get you under, and I only have a 2-hour session, it's kind of hard to get a lot of results done. Confusion inductions are for overly analytical or type A aggressive people. It requires great attention. The hypnotist has to really pay attention to the physical responses that the subject is displaying. You have to notice if there's nervous responses, if the legs start jiggling, they get bored. You can see the eyes roll, or they start opening and closing their eyes. It's important to keep focus, but you do want to make sure we deal with each client individually. The induction that we're going to use later today is called a hand drop. This is an instant induction. You focus the subject's attention. You instantly redirect, which is a startle, and then you say the word sleep. And because we've told them to expect to go into hypnosis, they automatically do. And my computer wants to run all by itself. The induction that's normally used is a combination induction. An Elman is a combination. It's a combination of progressive relaxation. It's a combination of refraction. It does a little bit of startle response, which is actually where we do the arm drop. And it's short. Believe it or not, the Elman induction is less than 15 minutes. That's relatively quick for doing therapy. It's a little slow for stage work, but most stage hypnotists start off, believe it or not, with a basic Elman induction. And they try and make sure they get as many people under as possible. Why should you know or know more than one type of induction? Well, we're not the same. I'm not the same. The people I work with aren't the same. They may have the same presenting ideas. Their personalities are different. And if I only know one type of induction, I can only deal with one segment of the population. And if I don't know what to switch to if you're not responding, then obviously I'm stuck and I can't help you. So knowing more than one kind is very important for you. It's critical for you to be able to work with people and make effective change. Interaction between the clients is necessary. And let's be honest, anything you do over and over again becomes boring. So it's nice to be able to make changes just to keep your world moving forward. Moving into how hypnosis can help you with business and your personal life. How many of you have sat through a meeting and wondered how you could stay awake?
All the time.
We can actually hypnotize you so you're alert during the business meeting. You set a trigger and it's always done there. How many of you think you're successful all the time?
Not me.
We can program that in too. It's really important that you think success, that you follow success and look for the clues that you're achieving it. If you're not looking for it, you can't recognize it. Confidence. Who wouldn't want more confidence? Is there anybody that you can think of that wouldn't want to be more confident? And that includes those people with the biggest egos. Because you know what? A lot of times they're putting on a good show because they're not confident. Asking for a pay raise.
That would be great to have that tool because
Yeah.
it gives you value and
Sure.
you want to be able to tell your employer, I'm valuable to your organization.
But you want to present it in such a way that it's not a confrontation.
Right.
We want to present and ask for a pay raise in the most effective way possible. And it's a little bit of sales, right? So being a better salesperson makes you better at dealing with individuals. Career confidence, knowing you're doing and pursuing the right career. Dealing with employees. Those of you who have employees know they're not all the same. And they're not the same every day either. So learning how to deal with them and being patient when you need to be and knowing when you have to hold a firm line is a learned skill. Enhancing your executive skills, the decision-making skills that you make, the research that you do. Enjoying your job. How many of you had to go to work every day? You know what? It's really hard to not go to work every day. Every day is important, but not everybody loves their job every day. If you do, it's a passion, and that's great, and we can instill that passion. Networking confidence. This is another one. People, interactions with people you've never met, you may never see, but you want to. So it's important to have a skill set there that you feel good about. Your selling skills. You can't have too many selling skills. Everything we do is a bit of selling. And if you don't believe that, check back in with Curious Mondo. They'll run some selling programs a little later. But we can't function without it. Every day we sell ourselves. I want somebody to like me. That's a sales job. I have something I want to share with you. That's a sales job. This is important to do. Time management. How many of you had time get away from you? Don't know what to do with it. This is all a skill. Ending procrastination. And I know everybody has this to a different extent. We have to learn how to end procrastination to move forward. Accepting change. You work for a company, it's made a lot of changes. They claim it's in the best interest. You get older, it's harder to accept change. But you know what? Everything changes all the time. We need to learn to accept and deal with that. Accepting responsibility. These are all key factors for helping people work forward. And one of the most important ones that's promoted now everywhere is life balance. How do you balance what you do every day for a living with what you do at home and taking care of family? Being assertive. This is standing up for yourself, knowing your own value, knowing how forward you can go. Becoming organized. This isn't just time management, this is your physical space. Becoming neat and tidy. Curbing control tendencies. How many of you ever had an overly controlling boss? How many of you ever been the over-controlling boss? You know it's an issue, you just have to learn how to let go. Motivation. This is a wonderful one. We can increase motivation with hypnosis. Punctuality. Earlier today I heard people complaining about how people thought they were coming on time, but they weren't ready, so they were really late. So being punctual is not just arriving on time, it's arriving on time ready to go forward for the day, prepared to deal with everything that goes on. How to have fun without alcohol. You have those friends who can't have a good time unless they're slightly inebriated, or totally inebriated, or can't remember what happened the night before. You can have fun without drinking. You do not need any narcotics. You can have a great time and enjoy life being just sober and moving forward. Stopping self-criticism. You know who your biggest critic is? It's not everybody else. Biggest critic in your life lives in your own head. We can help get that under control and make it a positive factor. Reading. I don't care whether it's a book or you're reading online, reading is a necessity. But how do you like reading? Most of us have given up the joy of reading because it's too much work. You need to love reading to be able to move forward. You need to love reading to be able to enjoy your job. You need to love reading to be able to continue to be educated so that you can continue to love your job. Effective goal setting. We can help you with that too and make sure that the goals you set are achievable and that you can reach them. How to achieve your goals. Hypnosis can help with that. And for those of you who are actors, actresses, writers, business people, sales, increasing your creativity. Accessing that part of your mind that makes you more creative and more functional. This is some of the key places hypnosis can help. Why would you use hypnosis? We covered this a little bit earlier, and I'm going to give you a few more examples. Psychoanalysis is 38% effective. Behavior therapy, 73% effective. Hypnosis, 93% effective. Let's look at it with numbers. 38% effective using the bottom price, $150 an hour. If you were to pay for this, if you take those sessions, you're paying $328,000 to be psychoanalyzed and achieve the same success rate as hypnosis. That's $250,000. It's a lot of money. Behavioral therapy, $4,181. Assuming I'm reading correctly and my contacts are focused. $4,191. That's still a lot of money. You can do the same thing for $900 with hypnosis. So if you're going to invest your money, you're going to put it into places that are effective. Hypnosis is much more effective to get the results.
All right. Well, I've got a couple of questions here from our viewers. You know, on the situations that you were just going through there, the things that you could help, one of the questions is, isn't fear what underlines all of those situations?
Fear is an emotion that can, and it does for a lot of people affect that. But sometimes it's actually training. It's not fear, it's something you've been told. What happens for a lot of these situations is you get a command from somebody that says, you can't do that. Parent or teacher says, you'll never be smart enough, you're not good enough. That's not really a fear, it's just actually a command we've embedded that we've accepted.
Okay. And then a follow-up question with regards to one of the things about sobriety with hypnosis. It says, with drugs that cause physical addiction like heroin, can hypnosis work?
Hypnosis can work dealing with the effects, after effects of heroin. First you have to get off of the chemical or stop. You have to dry out, you have to be chemically dependent free. The issue hypnosis helps the best with is not going back on, dealing with the withdrawal symptoms that happen after your physical withdrawal symptoms are done. Because we're dealing with the subconscious mind. If the body's still craving, there is a problem that you have to overcome two things at one time. So it's best that you physically have ended the addiction. For tobacco, physical addiction is 3 days. After 3 days, you're no longer addicted to nicotine. Alcohol takes a little longer, but if you've gone through, and what happens to most addicts of most things, and before I make that a bad thing, we all have addictions. Some of us are addicted to going to work, some of us are addicted to playing games, some of us become addicted to chemicals. It's a normal thing that happens to a lot of people. It's how we effectively deal with it and how it's recognized by society that's important here. If I do not want my job interfered with because of a chemical dependency, whether it's alcohol or drugs, I need to get off the drugs. Most of them, 7 to 10 days, we've ended the physical addiction. At that point, hypnosis comes in and helps make sure you don't want to go back. You can deal with the situation that happened. We can help deal with the cravings because they're not physical.
And do you also deal with the underlying causes that got you to that point in the first place?
We can.
Okay.
A lot of it depends on the individual. A lot of therapy wants to go back to what caused the problem, and there's a lot of people and a lot of arguments as to what's most important. I believe, and several others believe, that one of the best ways is just deal with the individual and deal with the problem now. There's no reason to go back and relive it. We may have to go back and find what it was. We do have to identify causes so that we make sure we don't trigger them again. So we want to eliminate triggers, we want to eliminate situations, and what a lot of people don't want to hear is sometimes you have to eliminate the people you hang out with.
Okay, well thank you for that.
Hypnosis and meditation is something that everybody asks, are they the same? They have a lot of similarities. Meditation is, it has a very simple goal. It's just to calm or still the mind, or to distract it so that it can relax, nothing else. Hypnosis actually has that in mind, plus coming out with a specific outcome. And they do affect different parts of the brain. The color pictures set in the black background show you that meditation only affects the frontal lobes. That's the only part of your brain that's activated when you're meditating. And while this is fantastic because people who learn to properly meditate live longer. They are more calm, they have a better overall health. Hypnosis affects the frontal lobes exactly the same way that meditation does. It also affects the parietal lobes, the occipital lobes, and the temporal lobes. So we access more of the brain with hypnosis than you do with meditation. But if you think about it for just a minute, it makes sense because we're not just calming the mind, we're actually trying to make changes, and those changes take place in different parts of the mind than just thinking calm thoughts.
Okay. We've got another question from one of our viewers. They say, I find it impossible to meditate. Can't slow down my mind. Would hypnosis still work for me?
Yes. Hypnosis is following simple directions and focusing concentration. If you can follow my simple directions, and we did this the other day, just simple directions. If you can close your eyes and follow those directions, you can be hypnotized. And if you can be hypnotized, your mind can be calmed. And once we're calm, we can move forward and make change. Meditation is difficult for most people because they tell you you're not supposed to think any thoughts. If you talk to people who do a lot of meditation, that's not true. If you have a thought, you just don't want to dwell on it. You want to move it through. And if you want to practice meditation, one of the best ways is first learn to be hypnotized so that you can recognize what the state feels like, and then you can practice entering it, maybe using a guided meditation with some visualization that actually gives you something to think about.